Hey, what's up? Today you're about to see the game where Magnus Carlsen used a deadly opening trap against himself. Yes, you heard it right, but it's actually an interesting opening variation that you may take advantage of. But anyway, let's go to the chessboard and figure it out together. Carlsen was playing white against Nepomniachtchi, and it was a rapid game. Carlsen starts off with pawn e4 and then it goes into the Sicilian Defense. So far it's one of the most played opening variations of all, and in this case usually white defends the e4 pawn which has been attacked by their knight from c3. But instead Carlsen played a tricky move bishop to c4, and it's actually a worthwhile attempt. Because here white offers this pawn on e4 for black, and at first there is no reason for black not to take it. So Nepomniachtchi actually swallowed the bait, and after that, even though temporarily it looks like black simply won a pawn that white blundered, but actually there is this really annoying move queen to h5, trying to deliver something like scholar's checkmate, and surprisingly it's not easy for black to stop this simple threat. Because if black goes, for example, pawn g6, it actually fails due to queen d5. Right? It didn't happen in the game, just showing you that it's not easy for black to stop this attack. Right now it's double attack of the pawn as well as the knight, and black will probably have to drop their knight. So let's go back. Nepomniachtchi played a more natural move, pawn e6, and in this case it also fails due to another tactics, but in this case Carlsen actually forgot the right way to follow up with this opening trap. So guys, what you write in comments, like things like, if I could only remember all the variations you're sharing with us, as you can see it happens to the world's #1 player just as well. The correct continuation here is bishop b5, the move that Carlsen did not play. You gotta toss in this in between check, and in a moment we'll see why it is critical. Carlsen forgot about that and grabbed the e6 pawn right away. Now at first it looks pretty good, because this pawn is pinned, therefore the pawn cannot capture the knight, so the knight can only be captured by black's bishop. Now white recaptures, the pawn is still pinned, on top of that white is threatening queen takes f7 checkmate. So far so good, but there is one major drawback. The problem here is that black can defend this pawn by their queen, and this not only defends the pawn, but it also sets it up for some sort of discover check on the next move. And for that reason white cannot move their bishop away, so in fact white has to just give up their bishop. And because if bishop moves somewhere, it doesn't really matter, it fails due to this discover check. Check to the king as well as attack of the queen, meaning the queen will be gone on the next move. And due to this simple tactics, white cannot move their bishop away, therefore Carlsen had to give up the bishop, and he played a couple more moves and resigned later, but basically he could resign right here, because on a top level, of course, having an extra bishop is more than enough to win the game. So that's how Carlsen spoiled a really good opening trap, and now let's see what it was supposed to be in reality. We're coming back to the critical position where Carlsen blundered his knight after knight takes e6, and instead I mentioned that white should have played bishop to b5 check. Now I'm going to share with you the correct line, and just to clarify, I'm also pretty sure that Carlsen did not miscalculate, because the resolving variation after knight takes c6 is pretty simple for the world champ. It's just, several moves calculation and pretty straightforward moves. Therefore, I'm pretty sure that it's not that Carlsen miscalculated, it's rather that he tried to recollect his opening knowledge, but messed it up and played the wrong move. Again, the right one is playing bishop b5 first, check to the king, and now when black covers it, somehow, anyhow, let's say bishop d7, we're still playing knight takes c6. In this case, it's even more spectacular, because now we're taking advantage of the dual pin. There is a pin, so the pawn is pinned, it can't move, but the bishop is also pinned and it can't move either. And therefore our knight on e6 surprisingly is still alive and is hitting the queen, and it's also ready to jump to c7, delivering check in case black's queen moves somewhere along this diagonal, the knight can actually jump here to c7, deliver a check, attack of the rook, and for that reason the black's position here actually rather falls apart. And still, there is actually a very interesting follow-up here. Black may try queen a5. It first looks like black may get away from the immediate danger with this move, because it checks the white's king and it also counterattacks white's bishop. It may even seem like, in fact, black is winning, but white plays a cold-blooded move, bishop d2, and it hits the queen. What can black do now? Well, black can grab one of white's bishops. For example, black can take this bishop, or he can take this bishop by their queen. But if queen takes b5, Looks good at first, but it fails to knight c7, very nasty triple fork, and the queen will be gone on the next move. So that fails. Let's take this back. Another attempt of black would be to grab this bishop, which currently attacks the queen. But if knight takes d2, white is not gonna recapture here. White plays another cool discovered check, bishop takes d7. And in this case, it also hits the queen. Therefore, black was hoping that the queen finally managed to escape, but they are still losing it due to check to the king, and on the next move we're grabbing it. So that's how Magnus Carlsen was supposed to win this game, but instead he mixed up the moves and lost. That said, the trap is completely legit, and I do encourage that to use it in your own games. It's actually powerful. As you can see, even Magnus was willing to use it against a top-level grandmaster. So once again, let's go over these moves, and I'll show you how you can push this trap even if your opponent refuses to accept it at first. So here we're going into the Sicilian defense, knight f3, pawn d6, black goes into the classical Sicilian variation, where usually after that black goes for knight f6, and then they follow up with either a6, the knight variation, or g6, the dragon variation, or something else, Scheveningen with e6, so there are multiple options for black later, if you play the mainstream move knight to c3, but instead you surprise your opponent by playing bishop c4. You offer this pawn, and at first it's very hard for black to really figure out the following trap. If black is unaware of it, they'll definitely go for it, because it first looks like you just blundered a pawn, you simply wanted to develop your bishop and you forgot about the pawn. But then you win with this queen h5 trick, you double attack the pawn and then you win. What if black refuses to accept the pawn? Let's take this move back. Let's say black didn't see that you blundered a pawn, or for some reason decided that it's dangerous to grab it, and just follow up with their usual move pawn a6. That's how black usually plays in the knight variation. In that case, instead of defending the pawn right away, you can still ignore it and still castle. And in that case, black may be seduced to finally grab the pawn, because now it looks like, hey, I mean, there is no reason not to take it. Like, there is nothing white can do. Even this check is currently unavailable because of the pawn. But actually, knight takes c4 fails in more or less the same way. You just play queen h5, all the same stuff. You attack this pawn twice. And if black goes pawn g6, it still fails to queen d5, right? This double attack. So that doesn't work for black. If black plays pawn e6 right here, in this case, yes, you do not have the bishop b5 check because it's indeed controlled by the pawn, but you don't need it in this case. Your king has castled already, and you can go the Carlsen way, but in the proper sequence of moves. So knight e6, hitting the queen, black recaptures, now you recapture by your bishop, and as you can see, there is a major difference here. If black tries queen e7, the way Nepomniachtchi played against Carlsen, it causes no danger for white whatsoever, because white's king is not here on e1. Therefore, you can just move your bishop back, and after that, black will fail along the e-file. You just play rook e1, and black is under massive trouble here. Probably black's position is lost already. So queen e7 doesn't work. What if they try pawn g6? Actually, let this be our puzzle of the day. How would you continue here if you're playing white? Please write it down in the comments below. Let's see if you can figure it out on your own. And to wrap this up, let me remind you that the launch of my new course, Top 25 Middle Game Concepts, is about to come to an end very soon. So if you're interested, it's better to click the link below the video or somewhere on the screen and grab it right now. It's the course that I've been working on recently over the last several months, and I've analyzed hundreds of middle game rules, concepts, plans, pawn structures, and I've condensed it to 25 most important ones that you really need to know in order to get your middle game play to an expert level. It's not enough to know these 25 to become a grandmaster, but to play at an expert level, you do need just these 25 main concepts, and you can study them in this course. So because the course has just been launched, you can get it at a 50% discount. You get another course, Calculate Till Mate, for free as a bonus, but again, it's only good for the last day or so, so do grab this right now if you're interested. And also, let me know what you think about the Carlsen's game. I think that if almighty Magnus could spoil an opening trap like this, we should also feel free to do that once in a while and not have hard feelings about that. After all, it's just a game, we're supposed to have fun. Anyway, let me know what you think if you ever had similar experiences, and I'll talk to you soon.